Well, we've got to start with the obvious one here. You may have noticed a bit of a temperature drop tonight. It was all thanks to a cold front coming through the area. Let's head over now to meteorologist John Smith to see what else it will bring. John? Just into our newsroom, we are learning more about why the southbound lanes on Highway 17 bypass were closed off earlier tonight. Officials say 4 vehicles were involved in a wreck near the intersection of North 29th Avenue and Highway 17 bypass. Several people were taken to the hospital, and one person was arrested for a DUI. We'll have more information as details come into us on our website, WPDE.com. Tonight, we're learning more about the man who walked into work in Aurora, Illinois, and started shooting at his co-workers Friday afternoon. 6 people are dead, including him. 5 officers were injured. We learned 45-year-old Gary Martin was being let go from his job at the Henry Pratt Company, that's a manufacturing business, for multiple workplace rules violations. Officials say it's likely that he knew he was being fired from his job of 15 years when he brought a Smith & Wesson handgun to work. We also have learned Martin had a lengthy criminal history. Officials say he's had 6 arrests over the years in Aurora for what they call traffic and domestic battery related issues, another for violating an order of protection. And in Mississippi, he faced a felony conviction for aggravated assault. That was back in 1995. Officials say this should have prevented him from buying the gun in the first place. The CEO of the company says the situation is being carefully reviewed to make sure history never repeats itself.
Friday was basically the worst day our company has ever had. Tremendous emotional event at not just our one facility here in Aurora, but reverberating through our entire manufacturing footprint.
The CEO of the company also says that conviction didn't show up in a background check when he was first hired. Back here at home, it's been nearly a year and a half since Abby Lynn Patterson disappeared from a street in Lumberton. ABC 15's Matt Paris was there today as family and friends celebrated her birthday and tried to keep her light and her case alive.
On a cold day in February, the warmth of family and friends.
I'm her voice and her advocate, and I just felt like it would give me a chance to put her name out.
Hope and happiness aloft on a cold winter wind that still offers few answers to where Abby Patterson is tonight.
She's got a lot of supporters. Abby's loved by so many, and she's touched so many lives.
It was September 5th of 2017 when Abby, then just 20 years old, was last seen getting into a car on 9th Street in Lumberton. It's now the 2nd birthday Samantha Lovett has spent without her daughter by her side.
Her thing was always making everybody happy and laugh, and now everybody's kind of turning it around and supporting her. And I just wish that she could see that.
Now today, instead of laughter and time spent with family and friends, those same loved ones could only write messages to Abby on whiteboard and balloons.
I felt like I had to do something, and just sitting at home and just doing nothing is not my thing.
Some prayed, others cried, trying to fill the emptiness of the unknown with the hope they say Abby would want them to hold on to.
I want Abby to look down on me and say, that's my mom. She never gives up.
Abby's mom said she had overcome so much the day she disappeared, and things finally seemed to be falling into place for her. She had a job, good friends, and was always most connected to her mom.
She had a lot of struggles, but she was getting through it.
On a cold day in February, the warmth of being together, balloons of every color aloft on a cold winter wind, a quiet moment of relief for a mother who refuses to give up.
Releasing those balloons released some of my grief, some of my anger.
In Lumberton, Matt Paris, ABC 15 News.
Abby's mom says she hears from investigators at least every week, and they're still working leads to try and find out what happened to her. Family and friends are offering a $10,000 reward for the arrest and conviction of those responsible for her disappearance. It's been a long 2 months for the family of Malik Spencer. The 18-year-old went missing and was found dead last month. The Beaufort County Sheriff's Office says he was murdered, but today was his funeral and his family and friends got to say their final goodbyes. Music and dancing filled the room as they celebrated Malik's life. People laughed and cried as they shared their favorite memories of Malik. They described him as not having a mean bone in his body and having a smile that could light up a room. Many are still wondering how this happened.
He was such a gentleman, one of great character, one of great standards. We still want to remember that the killer of Malik is still missing. We cannot find them without the community. We need you.
If you have any information about the death of Malik Spencer, call the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office or leave an anonymous tip through Crime Stoppers. New at 11 tonight, students at Coastal Carolina University walked to support the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The university's Chi Omega sorority organized the 3.5-mile walk. Dozens of students paid $20 to take a stroll. Money raised will go toward the Make-A-Wish South Carolina Foundation. It's especially important to Alexis Ormsby. She was diagnosed with leukemia back in high school, and she spent 9 months in the hospital. That was until the foundation offered her a trip to Hawaii.
Some nights my dad would stay with me, some nights my mom would stay with me. I didn't really get to see my brothers that often because we couldn't have outside germs coming in. And so as just like go out as a whole family on a trip, it was just an amazing experience.
The Chi Omega sorority has raised $20 million for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Tonight, presidential candidate Kamala Harris spoke at a town hall meeting in Columbia as part of her ongoing campaign for the Democratic nomination. The California senator and former state attorney general emphasized the urgency of many political issues, including criminal justice reform, economic hardship, and climate change. She says we need someone in office who knows how to tell the truth and fight for justice.
And I believe this is a moment in time that we need fighters on the stage who know how to fight. I do. And also have a proven desire to lead.
The South Carolina primary is scheduled for February 29th of next year and is generally considered a crucial state to win the bid for a party nomination. Rallying for support, Horry County teachers met this afternoon to talk about what they can do in the fight for more teaching rights. I spoke with them and they say it's time to regroup. Less than 2 weeks after lobbying in Columbia, Corey Shuford and some other teachers from the Horry County School District recognized they had a problem. There are teachers for more than 50 schools in Horry County, but only a handful joined them at the Capitol.
There are some teachers out there who are scared to step out and stand up for education.
We are just a group of teachers that are coming together, and we're working with our state house leaders to change education for the better.
Saturday, she and other teachers regrouped at an Horry County restaurant. Think of it as a meet and greet, opening the door to teachers who want to get involved with one goal in mind.
Get some questions that they may have answered.
While they admit turnout could have been better, it piqued the interest of new faces.
Making a living wage is important, but there's also other things tied to the legislation in Columbia that we need to kind of correct.
Eric Schrader says he wants to make sure school districts across the state have fair funding and teachers are treated fairly, something he feels is in jeopardy with the education reform bill, a piece of legislation gaining traction through the State House. Back here, they're building a group, one that can stick together.
This is going to be years, I think, of working with state leaders and making sure that our kids are taken care of.
The leader of the Horry County SC for Ed chapter tells me she's focused on fighting the education reform bill. You can find more about that on our website, WPDE.com. New at 11 tonight, kids got the chance to take a ride on a ranch with some furry friends. It was part of the Family Fun Day and open house at the Thurlow Ranch in Conway. The nonprofit group's goal for the event was to give kids an opportunity to have fun options for therapy. Now, this is the first time the event was held on this ranch. The organizer says therapeutic riding will also help kids become in touch with the animals.
With the horse as your partner, you're also learning empathy. You're learning how to care and be responsible for an animal as part of the vaulting activities.
Along with the rides, there was even, get this, a kissing booth for the kids and the horses. For more information on the group's therapy options, you can head to their website. And tonight was the 11th annual Shuckin' on the Strand Oyster Roast in Murrells Inlet. The organizers call it the culinary delicacy from the sea. Proceeds from the event benefits Substitutes for Santa. That's an annual event that takes underprivileged children in Horry County shopping for clothes, shoes, and toys right before Christmas.
It's a heartwarming experience to see these kids light up, and you get to know some of the kids throughout the year and just give them a Christmas when they wouldn't otherwise have a Christmas. Just it warms your heart during the Christmas month.
Organizers say about 500 people turn out to this event every year. Well, fans are revved up for the Daytona 500. We'll show you how a superfan celebrates the big weekend every year. And a weekend of celebrating presidents with some more money in your pockets. We'll show you some of the best President's Day deals you could get your hands on this weekend.
And we have a series of storm systems on the way. I'll track them all after the break.
If you're thinking that Amazon will have a huge tax bill this year given its record-breaking earnings, you're wrong. Amazon didn't owe the IRS a dime in 2017 and 2018. The world's third most valuable company that reported, get this, more than $10 billion, that's billion with a B, in profit last year, hasn't paid federal income tax for the last 2 years. Loopholes exist in federal law that allows even massively profitable companies like Amazon to avoid paying taxes when past losses, equipment purchases, and research and development are taken into account. The company said its most recent financial statement that it still has $1.4 billion left to offset any future tax bills. Amazon hasn't commented on its federal tax payments. And Payless Shoe Source, is closing for good. The company confirmed that it is shutting down all its stores in the United States, some 2,100 locations. Liquidation sales will begin tomorrow. Payless is also closing its online operations. It's the biggest closing by a single retail chain this year. The move nearly doubles the number of retail stores set to close in 2019. Monday is President's Day, and while you celebrate George and Abe's birthday, you can get some deals. Amazon has Kindles, Echo Plus sound devices, and smart TVs marked about a third down than they usually are. And with tax season taxing your brain, get discounts on H&R Block and TurboTax software. Walmart could short-circuit your brain on electronics deals. The retail giant slashing prices up to 50% on some select items through the weekend. And Macy's, J.Crew, and Old Navy, they're offering big discounts as well, some as much as 50% off on men's, women's, and kids' clothing. Thank you, John. It's the weekend you have all been waiting for. The Daytona 500 is here tonight. A NASCAR superfan makes a name for himself, crafting unique guitars from scratch, honoring his favorite drivers. Tatum Everett is in Daytona to tell us how his trade skill keeps him stringing along.
Jeffrey Lee Jones is a true NASCAR fan. He's been to so many Daytona 500s, he's lost count. 5 years ago, Jones turned his carpentry skill into what's now music to NASCAR's ears.
People love them.
Jeffrey Lee Jones is known as NASCAR's guitar man.
I don't play guitar. I just build them.
In a few short years, the West Palm Beach Carpenters' one-of-a-kind creations have hit the right chord with some of the biggest names in racing.
Rick Hendrick bought my first guitar I ever sold. It was at Jeff Gordon's last race in Homestead. So I waited there with the 24 guitar, and he pulled up to me, rolled down all the windows, pulled out a wad of money, said, "How much for the guitar?" I said $1,000, but this one's not for sale. He looked at all the different guitars and everything, and he really liked the first one. And so I said, "Here, Mr. H, you can have it." Sorry, I said no to you. You know, nobody says no to Mr. H. So he said, oh no, I'm paying for it.
Jones has crafted 45 guitars. Each rig takes between 40 to 50 hours to perfect. The guitars are even fully functional.
They sound great. I could bring this one over and have that guy play it down over there, plug it in, play it.
Jones's musical masterpieces start at $1,000, but for the right price.
He hooked me up with 2 hot passes, and I build them and give them to the crew members.
What started out as a hobby to meet his favorite drivers has turned into so much more.
When my daughter died, I wasn't going to come to NASCAR that year. I had tickets and everything, and I wasn't going to go. But I said she'd probably want me to go. And so I did, and this really keeps me going on, coming to the track and building these.
Guitars have been known to save the musician, in this case the craftsman, whose skill vibrates throughout the racing community. Jones has been a fan of Jeff Gordon since he was a rookie, and one of his 24 guitars even hangs in Gordon's shop. Chase Elliott, Dale Earnhardt Jr., and William Byron are some other drivers who also have a Jeffrey Lee Jones original. In Daytona Beach, Florida, Tatum Everett.
The Russia probe, foreign spies, and mermaids? We'll show you what you can expect on this week's Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson. Now, here's a look at what's coming up on this week's Full Measure with Cheryl Atkinson.
This week on Full Measure, did top U.S. intelligence agencies violate the rights of ordinary Americans? An unseen side of the Russia probe. Plus, journalists paid to spy for foreign countries. We look into spies among us. And hidden in snowy Montana, there's an oasis for mermaids. We take you to a whimsical and unexpected tiki bar. Those stories and more this week on Full Measure.
You can watch Full Measure every Sunday morning at 11:30 right here on ABC 15 News.
Coastal baseball, South Carolina baseball, both getting wins. Clemson, they split their doubleheader today, so very busy day.
There you go, and that baseball a sign there of that warmer weather too that we have coming up. So very exciting for that. Well, thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you in the morning. For now, for Good Morning Carolinas, you can stay up to date 24/7 on WPDE.com.
This is Good Morning Carolinas on ABC 15.
Good morning, I'm Taggart Houck. The time is 8:27. The southbound lanes on Highway 17 bypass are back open this morning. The lanes were blocked off last night. Officials say 4 vehicles were involved in a wreck near the intersection of North 29th Avenue and Highway 17 bypass. Several people were taken to the hospital. One person was arrested for a DUI. We'll have more information as details come into us on our website, WPDE.com. Rounding up support, a group of Horry County teachers met yesterday afternoon to talk strategy. They're part of the SC for Ed group. It's made of teachers fighting for a 10% pay increase and benefits. They lobbied politicians in Columbia a couple weeks ago, but wanted to see more Horry County support. The Horry County SC for Ed leaders says top priority is the fight to the education reform bill in the House. You can find that on our website, WPDE.com.
This is Good Morning Carolinas on ABC 15.
Good morning, I'm Taggart Houck. The time is 8:27. New this morning, warrants are being filed in connection with a shooting on Bazell Street in Laurinburg last night. Officials say the warrant is for attempted murder, possession of a firearm by felon, among other charges. At this time, that's all the information being released. We're learning more about a new program that could help patients who were given Narcan for opioid use. Myrtle Beach Police, DHEC, and Myrtle Beach firefighters will all be trained to help those patients. Here's how it works. Each department will set up an appointment with one of those patients as a follow-up at their home. Then they'll be able to talk to them about how to get more help for their addiction. Officials say they are still probably a few months away from actually getting the program off the ground. You can always find stories throughout the day at WPDE.com. We'll see you back here at 9 a.m. for GMC Weekend. Deputies in Robeson County are cleaning up the roads. We'll show you why the sheriff says this could bring more protection to the community. There are still 4 months left in the school year, but some students are running low on supplies, how a local church is stepping in to help, and giving back to a man who always gave his all to his community. We'll take you to an event that supports a local reporter whose life has been changed forever. Good morning and thanks for joining us for GMC Weekend. I'm Taggart Houck, and we've got to start with the elephant in the room. That weather, 50-degree drop over the last 3 days, but first warning meteorologist Kevin Jacobs is here. And Kevin, we're expecting a little bit of a warm-up here. Thank you, Kevin. Deputies in Robeson County say they're looking for a 20-year-old man who disappeared early yesterday afternoon. Officials say Tevin Newell was last seen on Glen Cove Drive in Lumberton. He's described as 6 feet 4 inches and 350 pounds with brown eyes, black hair, and dreadlocks. At the time he went missing, he was wearing a black hoodie with silver sleeves, gray shorts, and black flip-flops. Officials also say Newell is believed to suffer from a cognitive impairment. If you see him, call police. You want a story we first told you about Thursday night? A representative of the Debadoo community has released a statement about plans to build barriers to capture sand. The Coastal Conservation League is challenging the permit, saying those barriers will harm a nearby wildlife preserve. The statement says the barriers are part of a bigger renourishment plan that will help prevent erosion at the preserve, and they will not prevent sand from moving over or around them. The statement says simply putting sand on the beach isn't sustainable. In Robeson County, officials say a man is facing multiple drug charges after a traffic stop last night in Pembroke. 39-year-old Jamie Jones was taken into custody after police found cocaine, marijuana, and more than $1,700 in cash on him. He's being held in the Robeson County Detention Center with a $250,000 secured bond. Robeson County Sheriff's deputies are taking matters into their own hands to make sure drivers are safe. This morning, more than 20 deputies, local leaders, and volunteers suited up and braved that cold to pick up litter along the roads. Robeson County Sheriff's Bernice Wilkins says it's part of a new campaign called Clean and Green. They hope to make it a monthly event. Deputies carried off dozens of bags of trash, some as small as bottles and papers, to furniture and old campaign signs. One county commissioner we spoke to says keeping the streets looking good is just one more way to protect the community.
Help keep our county clean. That's what's going to sell our county to get industry here, and we just need some help.
Sheriff Wilkins says if you'd like to volunteer, just call the sheriff's office. Coming together to give back to someone who always put his community first. That's why folks in Myrtle Beach hosted a benefit for former Sun News reporter Jason Rodriguez. Back in November, Jason had to have his lower right leg amputated shortly after he suffered a heart attack, which required 3 stents leading to his heart. The community is coming together to help Jay and his family afford bills and expenses as he's been without a full-time paycheck since mid-November.
To know that there are community members and people I consider family who are here when you need them most, there's nothing that beats that.
If you weren't able to make the event, don't worry, you can still help out. A GoFundMe account has been set up for you to make a donation. Students are more than halfway through the school year, and some of them are already running out of supplies. A church in Conway, though, is tackling that problem. Bethel AME on Race Path Avenue held its first education rally yesterday. Students were invited to pick up some new school supplies and listen to motivational speakers. One of the organizers says it's important for the church to be a place of support.
we got you. The village wants to step up and make sure that, we kill the excuses and we make sure that our young people are equipped every day. And the end result is for them to become contributing members of society.
Most school supplies were donated or bought using grant money. Taking a look around the Carolinas, a woman in Wilmington, North Carolina saw her life flash before her eyes, and it was all caught on camera. We want to warn you, the video may be disturbing. Now, take a look at this. While walking with a neighbor, she says she heard a loud horn. The next thing she knew, she was on top of a car and thrown to the ground. She says she didn't even have time to turn around and look, but she thinks this was no accident, especially when the driver left and then briefly returned.
I thought for sure this person, oh my God, I lost control. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hit you, and this looks crazy. And what, can I help you or anything? No.
Police believe the neighbor and hit-and-run driver know each other. Benson agrees and thinks this hit-and-run was a vengeful one, but right now she says she's just thankful to be alive. New York Governor Kristen Gillibrand made a stop in Columbia ahead of her potential 2020 presidential campaign. After her speech, she touched on the controversy going down in Virginia.
Having seen the photographs that the governor put in his yearbook as a medical student, so offensive, racist. I can't understand why you would include that photo. I think he has to resign.
She joins a long list of lawmakers who believe Governor Northam should step down from his current position. Parents are liable for a student's lunch account, and it can add up. After sending a Freedom of Information Act, our sister station in Charleston found this school year Dorchester District 2 students have already racked up more than $136,000 in lunch debt. Parents get a text alert when their child has a low account balance for school lunch. According to the data, it looks as though a fair share of those texts actually go by the wayside. Parents, be warned that debt can still be sent to the collections office at the end of the school year. The Daisy Fair Flowers is here to give you some help for some arrangement ideas for that special someone. We'll take a look at what the right look is for Valentine's Day.